Hi, I'm Ernie.
And I'm Jesse.
And this is Budget Nerds.
What was all in your mind?
You are not alone.
No, you are not. Friends, I'm super excited today because on the show, in the studio, we have YNAB's founder, Jesse Mecham. Jesse, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm excited to be here. I feel qualified as a budget nerd. So, but I don't know if I feel qualified as a replacement for Ben. You know, that's a different question altogether.
Ben does have some big shoes to fill, and Aaron filled in for him last episode. So Ben, for those that don't know, is on paternity leave. Little baby boy Gilbert at home, super cute. But Aaron filled in and just knocked it out of the park.
Great. Now I have to follow Aaron too. Okay, this is great.
So,
all right.
But like you said, you're very well qualified because as the founder of YNAB, I mean, really, you're the original budget nerd of this community. Yeah. That's the way I see it. So I actually owe you an apology. We're episode 38, and this is the first time you've ever been on the show.
It's appropriate. I nerd out on my own with the YNAB podcast. People, I think they come to you guys because they're like, can we hear from someone that's not him? You know? So I think it's totally appropriate. But I am excited to be on today.
And it's really funny, too. I love your podcast, and it's so short. Like, you have a thought and you hammer it home and then it's done. Ben and I just blabber on and on, sometimes up to 45 minutes, but I guess folks like that.
I think this episode's about done, right? I mean, based on my timeline, I think we're about wrapping up. So, yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into things. So, do you read or subscribe to Vogue magazine?
I do not.
I didn't think so. I don't either. But they have this segment called 73 questions. And basically the guest or the host asks a celebrity these 73 rapid fire questions. And it's a really fun segment. I had no idea existed. Haley, this was actually her idea. Haley's a member of our marketing team. And as soon as she pitched it, I'm like, oh, that sounds like a lot of fun. So that's what we're going to do.
All right.
And I guess if you need a water break at any point or, just let me know and we can pause because 73 questions is a lot and they're going to be coming at you fast.
I will, I'll just shoot straight. That's the only way I know how. So,
all right, let's start it off. So have you looked at your budget today?
Yes. Because in our earlier meeting on one of the teams I'm on, we were going in an order determined by when you last reconciled.
Oh,
and I wasn't the worst, but I wasn't the best. I'll just say that. So,
okay. Yeah. Not naming names. Do you look at your budget every day?
No.
How often do you reconcile?
The checking account more than the credit card. Checking account, I'd say every 10 days. Credit card, apparently, as of today, I haven't reconciled it for 45 days. It is up to date. It's just I hadn't. Now, this is from a guy that for years was used to the mobile reconciliation not being available, right? So I think I need to still remember, like, hey, this sweet feature's been in here for a while. Start using it because I'm like 99% mobile use. But yeah, I just forget that you can get that little reconciliation going. So it's all excuses. 45 days.
Maybe something you can do later on today, then maybe right after this episode. All right. So what's your reconciliation dance?
It's the same kind of dance I did when I was 12 or 13 at like awkward school dances. I would just kind of nod and bob a little bit, Okay. Like I wanted people to know I could keep a rhythm, but there was no way I was going out on the dance floor. No.
Now, how much would we have to pay you to do that reconciliation dance on TikTok?
There's no price for that, but I can do it for you right here. It's just like this. There it is. So you have it.
All right. Well, if there was a price to do that on TikTok, would you accept Bitcoin as payment?
Would. I love Bitcoin. I'm super bullish on it.
When was the last time you wrote a check? And I'm not talking like one of those e-checks that your bank sends out, but an actual check.
Oh, man. I mean, so long ago, I can't even remember. Even like the kids' activities in school is getting smart, and they're like, "Hey, Venmo." So we're all coming along on that train. I honestly could not tell you the last time I manually wrote out a check. I almost changed lines at Walmart the other day because I thought the woman in front of me was writing a check, but it was something else. So I stayed. But yeah, for a moment I was like, well, got to bail, anyway.
What's your budgeting superpower?
Experimentation. Yeah.
Which is higher, your average golf score or age of money?
Oh, gosh. I'm happy to report that my age of money is much higher than my golf score, but that doesn't say much about my golf score. So,
how is a round of golf similar to budgeting?
When you shank it, you just focus on the next shot. It's all behind you. There's like 1,000 things that are the same. The shot is always in front of you. And with budgeting, the money, the decisions, they're always in front of you. It's always a blank slate. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
I like that. If you could describe budgeting for a family of 8 in one word, what would it be?
Rule 3. Was that 2 words? 3. Yeah,
it was.
Fluctuation. Yeah.
But I'll take it. I will accept it. What category in your budget do you hate the most?
Clothing. Because I hate clothing. Let me rephrase. I hate all of the shopping. Let me rephrase. Lest
Please do.
Lead one astray. I cannot stand the fact that if you go into a store, you want to buy something, they say, well, it's available online. We don't have the inventory. And then if you buy something online, it doesn't fit. So then you have to do returns. I hate the whole churn. And when you're doing it for 7 kids plus 2 adults, it's like you have a little shipping station in your house. It's ridiculous.
Makes sense. What's a purchase you really, really regret?
Oh man. Can I tell you when I regret not doing? Is that okay? Like,
sure.
We built this garage, like a detached garage, and we had to dig so far down to get the footings to find like actual like footing worth, earth worth footing to, if that's a thing. And the builder was like, we're going way deep, because you just have to keep digging until you find it, the native stuff. And he's like, we're going so deep, you could put in a basement in here. And I was like, how tall would the ceilings be? And he goes, 25, 28 feet. And I said, what does that mean for a basement? He's like, it means you could shoot a basket in there, never even thinking about the ceiling. It's that tall. And I was like, I can just leave it for you as poured concrete, just a box of a basement. That's it. And then, of course, I asked, how much will it cost? And this is towards the end of our big project that had lasted over a year. And the budget was already a little over, and I'd already been making concessions. And he's like, it'll cost 50 grand. Now, 50 grand is not a small amount of money by any stretch. But when you're building a separate structure and you're doing all this landscaping and retaining walls, 50 grand was like, it wasn't out of the question. But I was so tired of having to be like, yeah, let's spend a little more here, being nickeled and dimed, that I said no. And now 3 years later, that if we were ever to sell this house or whatever, that sport court or whatever it was down there would have been, I would have made my money back 3 times over. So, yeah. And I bought this little golf thing to fix my out to in swing, and it doesn't work. So I regret that. But it was like $12. So whatever, Anyways, so that's a purchase I regret not making. And Julie and I both, we share that regret. We routinely commiserate together on that. But yeah, anyway, still regret it.
All right. Well, what's your favorite budget experiment of all time?
I liked the one where we didn't budget for the year, really, because it was so enlightening, where we just basically reconciled each month by saying what's our net adjustment that we're going to make to the checking account. And I had a few, like travel, Christmas, furniture, and I think other. Those were our 4 categories. And I learned that when you do that, all of the habits you feel like you have just baked into your soul and encoded in your DNA, they go away. They do truly go away, and your decisions do start to their quality declines. So that one where we experimented for the year, and the year was 2020, so there's a little bit of that in there maybe too with like weirdness, but we weren't spending a lot of money, and I cannot tell you where the money went. And it was the first year in a long time that our checking account actually went down and didn't just kind of hover at a steady state. So
interesting.
Yeah, that was my favorite experiment because it was just so telling. It was extreme enough to be educational.
So what's something you've always wanted to try in the budget, but you've been too scared to do?
I've done that one. I hemmed and hawed for like a couple of years on, because that one was pretty scary. Honestly, everything I've wanted to do, I would be terribly interested, though, if there were ever like a voice interface to my budget, and just do that for a year where all you do is just ask Alexa things and she would tell you and be smart. And so you just be like on your phone, like, hey, I'm in Home Depot. And she doesn't like, that's all you have to say. And she'd be like, leave now, Jesse, or it'd be like, oh, fun. What are you thinking? And you could be like, well, I'm thinking about a miter saw. And she'd be like, okay, but like, let's look and see what we've got. That kind of a thing where you could have like this AI, totally unemotional interface where they're like your best friend giving you good solid advice. That would be one where I just think that would be crazy. The other one I want to try is doing it all in virtual reality, where you're like managing your budget. It's all spatial, but
wow,
let's give it time.
That concept just even blows my mind. So we can't really talk much more than that about that.
I barely can play ping pong in VR, so I don't know if I could budget, but
all right. To be budgeted or ready to assign?
Ready to assign. Oh man.
Direct or file-based import?
Direct.
What's your favorite money-saving tip?
Eat out less.
What's one budgeting habit you wish you could break?
Classify into the other category.
Give me a personal finance hot take that could break the internet today.
Index fund investing isn't all it's cracked up to be.
How much would Ben B have to pay you to use buy now, pay later for 1 month?
Would he pay me in installments, or would he be able to afford it all up front?
Yeah. It's Ben. He'd be able to afford it all up front. He's paid off that mortgage. He'd have a category for it.
I should probably do it just for the experimentation of it. I was purchasing a sweatshirt for my son's ultimate team, so I can wear a little bit of the swag. And it was $50. It was $48. And Shopify gave me the option. Do you want to break this up into 4 easy payments? You know that Mitch Hedberg joke where he says they're talking about this. He's reading or he's watching online or not online, but watching a commercial, and they're like, "This is 3 easy payments and 1 hard payment." I love it. He's like, "I don't know which one of these is going to be, but it's going to be hard." I love that guy. I wish he were still around.
So the answer here is Ben wouldn't have to pay you anything to use that. It sounds like you want to sign up.
I think it's a worthwhile experiment because they're insidious. Okay. They're insidious. Yeah. I hate them, but it's what are we going to do? Every successful company becomes a financing company. I've said that many times, and now every single little tiny mom and pop shop apparently can become a financing company, and all the people that run the infrastructure for that are laughing all the way to the bank. So, anyway.
Well, speaking of Ben, what do you think he's doing right now? Home on paternity leave.
He's not checking Slack. Hopefully, he's not doing any kind of work. And I hope he's like, I don't know, doing a jigsaw puzzle with the kids or something. Something super chill, like baby in the arm. And like nailing some difficult piece that he just found after 20 minutes of searching.
All right. Credit card points or cash back?
I changed on this. It used to be all about cash back because if it isn't cash, it doesn't count. And now I'm totally flipped around because you can upgrade flights at far less than the cash equivalent would be. I did not know this. So now I'm all in on airline flights. When we fly, that's how we fund it. Also, we have loads of Amazon points. So when I purchase things on Amazon, I just use the points, and it's a joke. We're just like, that the golf inside out fixer, that was points, So still painful that wouldn't fix the swing.
What's a piece of personal finance advice you hate?
This isn't a specific piece of advice, but people take debt as a given far too easily. Then they don't sit with the idea of not using debt for cars, school. Those are the main one, like the main heavy hitters. And just, I don't know, giving themselves time and space to like think of another solution. So a lot of and we're seeing a trend in this in personal finance where it's just like, hey, this kind of debt is okay. Okay, here it is, a little more of a tidbit or like a soundbite. Good debt, bad debt. I don't like the distinction. I think it's lazy to do that kind of distinction. I'd want to talk to someone one-on-one and have them tell me their whole life story. And then we can figure out whether or not their decision is going to be good or bad, right?
There we go. What category do you regularly overspend in?
Other. That's that same lousy category.
Makes sense. If you could buy just one item that you never have to replace for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh, man. Car tires.
What are 3 things you cannot live without?
I mean, it can't be your family, right? That's a cop out. Like we were looking for more materialistic, kind of surface level celebrity.
Very
type.
surfacey level.
Very surface level. Some kind of a setup to allow me to lift weights meaningfully. Cannot live without that. My Traeger,
What's that?
Traeger smoker. Now I have to send you one, Ernie. Okay. It was a gift from the YNAB team several years ago. That Traeger.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
And honestly, this perfectly sized Yeti cup. I know it's not the YNAB swag one because that one's too big. This is perfectly sized. So this 20-ounce Yeti tumbler, love it. If I broke it today, I would go out immediately, drop everything, and go purchase another one.
Yeah, you definitely can't live without that one then. All right, so who's one person that doesn't need a budget? And I'm not looking for a name here, but a type of person that wouldn't need a budget.
If by budget you mean careful, you might get yourself in a hot mess, then there are many, many wealthy people that wouldn't need a budget. But if we use the true definition of a budget, which is intentions piled up behind a pile of money, then everyone needs a budget. I am grateful that Bill Gates has some kind of an intention around eradicating name your next disease. That is his budget, or his foundation's budget, at least. So if you have a lot of money, it just means you need to think really hard about what that money should do, and that is a budget.
What is the best thing the budget has helped you buy in the last 6 months?
That simulator we were just talking about before we recorded. That little golf swim simulator that tells me my swing is out to in. Yeah.
And that was $12?
No.
No. That was no.
I wish the simulator was $12.
Not gonna be $12.
Yeah, it was spendy. I used bonus money for that thing. But yeah, I love that thing. It's been fantastic, and it has helped.
How old were you when you made your first budget?
It wasn't really a budget, but when I started tracking my spending when I was 16 by writing it all down on a piece of paper. It was mainly Jack in the Box and Taco Bell. But my next month, there was less Jack in the Box and less Taco Bell. And that was instructive.
Have you ever had a dream about spreadsheets?
Oh, man, I don't think so. Not about spreadsheets. I have weird dreams where I'm about to work out and can't find the right plate combination, or I'm about to tee off and can't move a tree out of my shot line, or like weird things like I can't start the thing I'm supposed to start. So I guess in that instance, I'd be like trying to start up Microsoft Excel and it just wouldn't get going. That would be the kind of dream I'd have.
Do you see any budget nerd potential in any of your kids?
Yes. Yeah. Some more than others. And we have 7 experiments running with those kids. So, Lydia in particular, we have them save half their money for like college and things like that. And she will not, under any circumstances, borrow from herself a little bit and then know she'll be paid 3 days later. She will not do that, which I think is high level discipline that makes her definitely leaning toward the budget nerdum.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, none of my kids are showing that at all. All right. Well, your kids might have a different relationship to money than you have. Mm-hmm. How does that make you feel?
It's okay. It's got to be okay. Like my kids are different than I am, radically different in some ways and totally similar in others. And I think this isn't even money related, but as a parent, you just got to recognize like that's a person, you know, they're their own person. And so you teach them to be honest and you teach them to work hard and be kind. And everything else is up to them. And there are all kinds of different ways to go about things, but you try and nail it on those 3 as a parent. And then you just got to kind of be like, and there's a human, you know.
What's something you do to them that embarrasses your kids?
Oh, I had to apologize to Lydia the other day because we had some of the YNAB team over, the ops team, and I was introducing them and like, hey, this is Lydia. She's 14, so steer clear. You know, I was just making a joke. Well, Lydia was like, hey, that wasn't very nice. And I was like, Lydia, we're allowed to kid. And she's like, not in front of other people. And I was like, oh, come on. And then the next day I came and I'm like, hey, you were right. If you want me to only kid when just you and I are around, then that's what I'll do. So I embarrassed her with that. I thought I was being funny, you know, but in the more fun way, I think I like teasing the kids and they like it, but there were some rules that I'd violated on that one.
Okay. Who's your favorite kid?
Faye.
Yeah. I love that you answered it. Favorite budget nerd?
It's got to be Ernie because he's here. You know, ends off gallivanting with a jigsaw puzzle and a newborn. You know.
All right. Well, we're halfway through.
Okay, I'm feeling okay.
How are you feeling? Do you need a break?
Take a little breather. Take a little sip.
Okay. Well, what's one thing you have to have in your fridge at any given time?
Fairlife chocolate milk.
What's a guilty pleasure purchase at Costco?
I wish Fairlife was available at Costco. I could save some pennies. I bought it.
But do you have a guilty pleasure?
Well, this isn't a recurring one, but I saw an Oculus Quest at Costco, and I was like, "That looks cool," and I bought it. So, and then that was a Christmas thing, and then 3 weeks later, I was at Costco again. There was the Oculus Quest end cap still, and I was like, "It'd be really cool if we could play ping pong against each other." So I bought another one. So Oculus Quest twice.
What was the last item you bought from the checkout lane?
It would have to be a Snickers bar, and probably at Ace Hardware. Just traditional, nothing fancy, just a Snickers bar. If I see him and I'm even moderate, if I can just convince myself I might be hungry in a while, I will grab a Snickers bar.
I love that you shop at Ace. I shop at Ace too.
I love Ace.
I don't know.
Well, it's not big boxy. It feels good. They're very, if your Ace is like mine, they're very friendly. And like they're happy to show you like just the perfect screw you need to do whatever. So yeah, I love our local Ace.
Last restaurant you ordered takeout from?
It was a Thai place, just like a local little, strip mall Thai place. But I didn't order it for myself. I ordered it for my mother-in-law. So we were eating there, but she had just had some medical thing done. Nothing scary. But Julie was like, "Hey, maybe she just wants us to send her some food." So we watched as the DoorDash guy came in, grabbed my mother-in-law's order and left while we were all eating. And I was like, "Well, this is kind of new." because she lives on the other side of the valley from us. So, yeah, not a big fan of takeout.
What's
for the record, though? Just
what's the last book you read?
4,000 Weeks, I think was the last one. Yeah, I read it twice in a row. I read it, loved it, and turned around and just read it again. And now I'm
all right. So maybe this is the answer to the next question. Then probably, what's the best book you've read this year?
Yeah, it would be 4,000 Weeks. It really messes with your head in a constructive way. I loved it. It's like time management, but it's really more about managing your thinking around time.
Yeah, you mentioned it on a podcast a few weeks ago, and I went and picked it up myself. I'm enjoying it so far.
Good.
If you had to publish an ebook today, what would it be about?
Oh, I don't want to say because I am going to publish an ebook, and I'm working on it right now. And it's going to be small, short, and pithy, and a manifesto for people to get on board with. So, ask me after we're done recording, and I'll tell you more.
I had no clue. I just seriously pulled that question from thin air.
Yeah, that's so. Yeah, I'm working on it. I'm loving it right now.
How would you describe your crush on Cal Newport?
Healthy. Yeah, balanced.
What's your favorite personal finance book?
I really like Your Money or Your Life. I really like framing time and money as the same unit, kind of, is what Vicky does. And treating both not equally, but just recognizing that they're two sides of the same coin.
If you could trend on social media for something, what would it be?
I would not trend on social media for anything.
Are there more doors or wheels in the world?
Wheels.
When you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
A Navy SEAL.
Outside of YNAB, what's the best job you've had?
Balloon twister. That was real. Why'd you laugh? That's art. I made balloon art.
That is awesome. And that's a bold endeavor. Was that high school?
It was. I can't remember if I was a senior or a junior in high school, but it taught me how to talk to people and like chit chat with adults and other scary people. And yeah.
I'm just envisioning having to talk to kids. Like you're showing up at birthday parties.
No, I wouldn't do parties. I would do restaurants only. And I would go up to tables and I would talk to the adult because the adult is the one that gave me the tip. So but I learned things like the presumptive question, like, hey, what color flower should I make your daughter? Versus, does your daughter want a flower? So
right.
And if people drink a little, they tip more. Learn that too.
Did you balance your checkbook register in high school?
No.
What's the best business advice you've ever received?
I don't like this one because it's so trite, but if you don't have good people, nothing works. And if you have good people, almost anything will work.
How about the business advice you most often give?
So it seems like lately I most often tell people that's not a good idea. And I feel bad about that. I will tell them, is there a cheaper way? Is there a way you could do that manually for a year until it was so painful that then you had to build a software solution? Because they'll come to me with software ideas. So I will quickly steer them toward like, could you do it in a spreadsheet? And I'm being like serious about it. Like, could you do that in a spreadsheet for a while and then maybe have enough money and enough clients to build something, out of real software? So that's probably a big one. The other one I give a lot is as telling people that they have a dysfunctional team or a dysfunctional team player on there as well.
What's a favorite memory from your first year of starting YNAB?
The writing of the 4 rules was, I thought, looking back, it just came. It was just a moment. You had the muse, and she was sitting next to me or something. And they weren't the rules we have now in the same way, but they were like, it was enough. It was enough of the 4 rules and then learning like, oh, the rules are the thing. And this spreadsheet is kind of second fiddle. That was learning that that is what we do today. That was all that first year.
What's one current app you wish you had created?
Oh, there are a couple, but I love Day One, the journaling app. Love it. And that's by a guy that's local here. His name's Paul. Although Automatic, the makers of WordPress or maintainers, they actually bought Day One last year. Still a fantastic app. And then Habit List is a great app. I just think it's fantastic for what it does. It does one thing really well. So I'd probably go with those 2, journaling app and then like a habit app, Habit List.
When was the last time you wore watermelon on your feet?
It's been a while. Yeah.
What's the biggest surprise you've had in your career?
Oh, man. I think that YNAB worked was a big surprise. It wasn't a plan. I was planning on doing the accounting thing. The fact that it worked and has stayed working is quite the miracle.
What's your favorite piece of YNAB swag?
My other water bottle, not this one, but my Hydro Flask. It was YNAB swag, but it's just all worn down, and it's just a silver dented Hydro Flask. But I use that daily.
What's your favorite Slack channel at work?
I mean, I hate to be so trendy, but the Word Game's one right now. Like every morning, Word will report. You got to give it to everybody.
That exists? I didn't know that. I don't play the game.
Well,
so
not too late to start. I was also a late comer. So
when do you do your best work?
Yeah, first thing in the morning. I should say first thing in the work morning. So 9 to 10:30, like a good 90-minute session of writing or thinking that's going to be ideal, guaranteed. What's
one thing you can't do?
Swing into out. I can't believe you brought that up. One thing I can't do. I can't do any kind of meaningful flexibility demonstrations at all. When I was born, the doctor was like, look how flexible babies are. Look how he can touch his toes. And I didn't. That's about when I was in 4th grade and we were doing the sit and reach where you push the little soap dish.
Yes.
And Miss Knight, my PE teacher, she's holding my knees to make sure I don't bend. And she's like, go ahead and start whenever you're ready. And I was like, I've been going for 15 seconds. She thought I was at the starting line. I was at the finish line. So I am just horribly inflexible, but I'm working on it. I'm on day 6 of a daily yoga practice. First time ever. Wow. And it feels very good. It's very short. It's like 12 minutes, but it is feeling very good.
What's something you've tried once, but will never do again?
Skydiving.
What's something you can never overinvest in?
Family time.
When was the last time you were spotted in public?
At church. A week and a half ago.
What's the best compliment a YNABber has ever given you?
It's all the same, but it never gets old. They'll tell me a story about how something's better in their life because they did all the work and we happen to have the app that helped, but they give us a lot of credit for a whole lot of work that they did. It doesn't get old.
What's your favorite Whiteboard Wednesday episode?
Oh man, those are so long ago now. Sheesh. I can't even remember them. I would never rehearse them. I would never do a second take. And so there wasn't a lot of prep on them. So like they would just come and then I would go. I would have an idea on like what my XY axis was, but beyond that, it was pretty much a riff. I've always enjoyed the one where I likened it to like a dresser. It's like clothes in a dresser,
Savings.
Yeah. And like purpose there. I thought that was good. But if you were to show me one, I'd be like, I can't believe I said that. Or I have no recollection of ever being on the record of saying this. And you're like, here's a video of you doing it. Or like, I don't remember ever having hair like that. And you're like, well, there it is. So.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up, because if you had to guess, approximately how many hairstyles did you cover during the years spanning Whiteboard Wednesdays?
I mean, I did the shaved head. I did the short kind of cropped hair. I did the longer hair. And then I did like the really long hair. So I'm going to say 4.
Okay. What's the most controversial thing you've ever said on the podcast?
Man. See, the thing is, when you're the one saying it, you're like, that's not controversial. That's just good sense, you know?
Maybe the thing that you got the most comments about.
Yeah. We got a lot of comments from the episode where we had the nutritionist come on. This surprised me. And people were just like, this is exactly it. Like, she likened the 4 rules to nutrition. And we got a lot of emails from that one, more than any other. So it wasn't even me. It was, and I have to look up the name of the woman that was on. But people, for some reason, it resonated with people. Like, yes, this is just like food. That was one. And when we likened it to strength training, people also wrote in, they were like, yes, I see this, like investing in your 401k, like long-term stuff. So I think it's when we've brought in other people that maybe we'll say something a little off the beaten path.
Huh. Now you need to bring in a golfer.
Yeah.
And they can relate it to
try and get
the game.
I don't know, maybe Tiger Woods or somebody, you know.
Yeah. It's not busy. What's the most underrated blog post you've ever written?
Yeah, here it is. Long ago, like in 2006 or 7 or 5, I wrote about how living within your means was the only thing that mattered. And that is the only thing that matters. Anyone that says otherwise is wrong. If you can't save a little, then you are not making progress.
What's something on the to-do list you have to tackle today?
Well, let me just pull it up right here. It looks like I need to record this podcast, work on the ebook that I mentioned that I can't say anything else about, and I need to schedule golf lessons for me and the kids. So that's a fun one.
That is.
There are many more, but I'll be able to knock them out today.
How do you usually wind down your day?
Lately, it's been swinging into the net in the garage, just doing like 30 minutes in there. It's like having a commute, you know, you get to clear your head a little bit, and then I walk back over to the house.
So I love how so many of these questions went back to golf.
A little bit of an obsession in the family.
Who or what inspires most of your podcast content?
Just the daily stuff like that Julie and I are working on or working with or thinking about. Like everyday life does it. I don't listen to a lot of other podcasts. I actually listen to 2, and those are irregular. And so, yeah, I just have to be the day-to-day life. Like I'll notice something in my own doing and then think, oh, that'd be an interesting podcast episode. Or Haley will tell me what to talk about. There's that too. She inspires me every week with assignments.
She inspired this episode. Well, last question. Do you want to do some YNAB Wins with me?
Yeah, let's do it.
It was all in your mind.
All right, so with YNAB Wins, this is a segment that we just started doing where we highlight the various victories in the YNAB community. So maybe someone accomplished a big financial goal, or maybe it's just a mindset shift. So we have 2 of them here. I'll start it off, Jesse. First one is from Forrest. Forrest says, my next paycheck that I can assign all money to finished my next month, March expenses, except tithes, and maybe then some for April. I need all the help for April because rent and cable/internet are changing. So beefing up the money for whatever happens. Excellent. So Forrest, getting that month ahead, or is that month ahead partially or fully, whatever the case may be, but experiencing that flexibility that it affords, right? I can see these expenses changing. I'm going to start beefing some things up and be able to adapt a lot easier on the fly.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
That's
there,
awesome.
Forrest.
I like the phrase beefing up the money for whatever happens, because that's essentially what we always are trying to do. We think we're putting money aside for one thing, for car repair like this or that or whatever, and then it ends up being something else, but we still have the money. So yeah, I love that. Okay, I've got one from Megan. This is cool. We purposely live on one income, even though we are a 2-income family. My husband is in the military, and finding work each time we move is a challenge, and I often have months or years between jobs. This has been a tremendous help to our situation, and YNAB has helped keep us focused and avoid lifestyle creep. I love that. Like they kind of introduced a game. They're just like, well, we're just going to pretend that whether or not Megan has a job, her husband has a job, and they're going to live off of his income. And I love games. I love that they're just like, let's pretend this and watch the magic happen also.
I love that perspective shift of changing it into a game, because at first I was like, oh boy, that'd be so hard. Like the discipline that Megan has, but hey, turn it into a game, make
Absolutely.
it fun.
I don't like the phrase lifestyle creep though. So Megan mentions lifestyle creep. What she's saying when she says avoiding lifestyle creep is she's saying we're trying to avoid having our money get out of alignment with our priorities. And I love that. But lifestyle creep, like, do we ever, I often say, do I want to, live in the same basement that Julie and I did when we first married? Absolutely not. So has our lifestyle crept? Yes. Okay, then I'm okay with it, but yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to play with the same set of golf clubs you had 30 years ago?
I found out you do not.
The woods.
You do not. The tech literally will change the game. So yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Jesse, for being on the show. This was a lot of fun. I think the whole YNAB community will enjoy it.
It was a blast having me on.
Excellent. And thank you, friends. Always tuning in for another episode. Please share your YNAB win in the YouTube comments. Love to hear from those, and maybe you'll be featured on an upcoming episode. All right. Well, we'll see you in a couple weeks. And until then, happy budgeting.